You now to consider when you have felt most American. What is an event, a moment, an experience, a thought that has led you to feel American? Whatever that is, whatever that word means to you, reflect now, if you would, on a time, a place, a gathering, perhaps a quiet reading of something that inspired you. And if you are willing, please raise your hand and I'll bring you the microphone so that you can share. And I'll start. As a child at the 4th of July, we would go to my grandmother's house in a small town and shoot off fireworks in the alley behind her house. And it was a time in my life when I idealized the American dream. And I believed in upward and onward forever. And those fireworks represented that to me. And no matter what has happened since, I continue to have a fond memory of that time. And I hunger for a time when we may feel that again, or I may feel that again at least. So who else? When have you felt American? Yes. Two right here.
Buenos días. I am not an American, but I love this country. I love this city of New Orleans. When I have felt most an American is when I have seen FDR in the midst of the Great Depression give his far chat talks in front of a chimney, trying to raise the spirit of all Americans. That's when Social Security became under heavy, heavy attack, calling that a socialism, communism. Now everyone loves it 60 years later. Another time I felt like a great admiration for the United States when Walter Cronkite in his program on TV would say, and that's the way it is. October 3rd, 1969, the landing of the moon, that was American technology in the race, in the competition with Soviet Union for the conquer of space. That's another time. I most felt an American when I was invited by President Jimmy Carter every year to his home in Plains, Georgia. He came and found me here in the streets of New Orleans, invited me to Plains, Georgia, and I would sit between Madame Rosalind and the president, and I would invariably every year would say, Mr. President, can we call a picture so I can send a picture of this to my mom? And he would abide, he would, I really felt welcome, and that's the spirit of the United States. When he was asked why he had not used force in the world, he said, I didn't deem it necessary.
Two moments when I became an American citizen during the naturalization process event, and when I casted my first vote as a citizen.
I saw some hands over here.
Well, oddly enough, it was when we were all relatively united after having been attacked in 9/11 in 2001, which was before we were lied to about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and went to war against Iraq unnecessarily. And also right after we had assisted insurgents in Afghanistan to help throw off the Soviet Union, which led to the appreciations that they had for Osama bin Laden. It's a shame that what I'm reminded about in being proud about the unity is the lack of unity that we have now through the divisiveness that has come from the siloization of information that we all receive. And I too long for that's the way it is from Walter Cronkite, which we no longer share.
my first my first experience of being proud of being an American was in boot camp in the Navy in 1963, and listening to the national anthem as in the morning and standing proudly watching the flag raised. Beyond that, you know, being American has not always been something that we've always been proud of. I wasn't too proud when they shot 4 students at Kent State, or when we bombed Cambodia, and other things. And when Nixon was resigned. So it's not always, you know, being an American is not always something that we should be proud of. It's something that we should aspire to get beyond. It's an idea. It's an ideal. Most recently, I have been in some, I think maybe some other people have been involved in this as well. I've been in immigration court observing individual hearings, and just recently there was a young mother who was seeking asylum, and it was heart-wrenching, and you could tell how much she wanted to be an American, a citizen of the United States, to stay here. That's what it means to be an American.
Thank you.
For me, is when I was, I don't know, I've always been an old soul, but when I was about in 4th or 5th grade, and it's the first time I heard Martin Luther King lecture, his speech, and I just started crying, you know, and they were going, and they're all like, elementary teachers, why is she crying? What's going on? And what my teacher, she goes, well, she's an old soul. She's just deep that way. And I said, and then all I can think of is this old soul is very tired and very angry, but I will fight.
How y'all doing? I remember as a child, the kind of image that they give you of America, the kind of rosy platitudes that they feed to you about what America is. And I remember thinking when I was a kid, why won't the grown-ups like when you become a grown-up, is it like something where like they just let you in, there's a big secret and they're not telling you? Because that's what it felt like as a kid. And come to find out, yeah, the secret is it's America is what we, you know, we all know what America really is, right? And you know, we inspired Adolf Hitler, literally. Like, he literally wrote, America inspired me to do what I did. That's what America was then and has been through its intelligence operations. So I got really angry, as you could tell. And I'm like, what is this? I'm working at Mona's on Frenchman. And I'm like, oh, America sucks, all this stuff, you know. And I was dating this girl at the time, Cassandra, and she's from Mexico. And she goes, no, America is great. United States sucks. And I was like, wow. And the dude in the kitchen is like, I'm like, hey, Jose, I'm sorry I messed up the order. And he's like, hey, it's America, it's okay. And I realized it means something different depending on who you're talking to. And it actually does have a very positive meaning, because we're not the only America. There's South America, and they're great, you know? So America's got like a broader meaning than just the United States. And that made me feel good to be American.
Anyone else? Well, reflect. Oh, Sean, sorry.
Thanks. Yeah, so respectfully, Nicholas, different note here. I find at my age, I'm grateful for more things that have been handed to me, or privileges that I was able to enjoy that not everybody was. One thing that's kind of unique about the United States that you learn if you study the way things are done in other countries is we have a very unique and exceptional egalitarian structure whereby people by and large can become what they want. And doors aren't locked to you in the way they are in more progressive countries like, say, Germany, contemporary Germany, where the course of your life is much more determined at a relatively young age, where it's being decided for you. You're going to become a plumber. You're going to become a manual laborer. You're not going to go to university, even if you want. And you may become an adult before you even realize that these structures that funneled you into this particular life course. As somebody who was able to enjoy a relatively unconventional career path and really get to do something that was dear to my heart and that was meaningful to me, I appreciate that. That's actually like a uniquely United States American phenomenon. Okay. So I think it's something that's kind of like in the background, but actually really does inform who we are and the opportunities that we are by and large given.
Thank you. Marilyn.
I think I was most happy that I was born in the United States was when we visited Cuba and we went into the grocery stores and there was hardly anything on the shelves. And when we looked at the houses that they lived in, middle-class people lived in, and I thought of my house with my 2 cars and garage and, spaciousness and so on. And I was very glad that I was an American.
So many different experiences. There's not one understanding, not one experience. Such a diversity in this room and so much greater diversity beyond this room. Reflect on how you feel American today and what that means for you in this season of our national life. And for the children of the world, let us sing. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround everywhere you may go. The reading is July 4th Meditation by Maureen Kaloran. Spirit of life and love, I come before you, black and brown and red and yellow and alabaster. I come longing for the simpler days that truly never were our lot, and I am an American. Hear these voices as in the complexity of our days, I am humanist and Christian, Muslim and Jew, pagan and atheist and Buddhist and you, and I am an American. I am one who fought for my country, and I am at the same time one who protested war, and I am an American. Amongst the divisions of our days, I've struggled in poverty, and I've accepted the profits of wealth, and I am an American. I am an owner of weapons, and I am one who would control our nation's guns by limiting the who's and what's and how's, and I am an American. As light is shown on our divisions, I live with often unacknowledged privilege, and I am moved to rage at the complexity of intersecting oppressions. and I am an American. In the challenge of our days, I am one who supports my country, right or wrong, and I am one who claims the traditions of dissent, and I am an American. In this polarized season, I am Democrat and I am Republican. I am libertarian and I am independent. I am green and I am confused. And I am an American. Spirit of hope, sit with us in our diversities. Help us hear one another in our divisions. Grant that, beginning in this community, we may honor one another's truths and know that a just and faithful tomorrow begins here in our hearts. For with all our problems, with all our pain, with all our limitations and mistakes, we are Americans. Thus ends the reading.
We pause in our service as we do every week to honor the sacred joys and sorrows that you have in your heart, on your mind this Sunday morning. The ushers will pass cards that we can write on here. And those of you that are online can use the chat box and we'll try to reply to that. Raise your hand if you'd like a card to put a joy or a sorrow for me to read from the pulpit in just a moment. During this time, we're going to sing together, America the Beautiful. The words are on the insert in your order of service. Would you like to stand? like to sing that. We don't sing it enough. So we have a card from Jim, a joy that these very difficult times we find strength in our community. Do you have it? Here. From Lizzie. My dad is still struggling a lot after his surgery, and I'm still having a lot of ups and downs with my autoimmune condition, but we're hopeful to see progress soon in both. And then she attached, and we'd love to spend Sunday mornings with y'all, even virtually. Thank you. And I saved the best for last. Liz. What?
There's another one behind it.
I've already read it. Today is Liz and her husband Larry's 18th wedding anniversary. And with that great joy, Liz will light another candle for those joys that have remained with you, that you'll share during coffee time maybe, and those sorrows that are perhaps a little too tender to bring forth. Thank you, Liz. You have a reading?
Well, the reading is by the Reverend Dr. A. Powell Davies, who was the minister of a Unitarian Universalist church in the Washington, D.C. area for several decades and led powerful responses to the challenge of the Vietnam War in the D.C. area. The war wasn't in D.C. area, but A. Powell Davies was a powerful voice for peace. He wrote in his book, America's Real Religion. On the day that he became president of Columbia University, General Dwight D. Eisenhower, did you know Eisenhower was president of Columbia for a period of time? Some of y'all did, I didn't know that. Dwight D. Eisenhower answered a reporter's question concerning his religion in the following words. Eisenhower said, "I am the most intensely religious man I know. Nobody goes through 6 years of war without faith. That doesn't mean I adhere to any sect. A democracy cannot exist without a religious base. I believe in democracy." Davies continues quite prophetically. Freedom can have no future, and perhaps the nation itself can have no future, unless we believe, and far more intensely than in recent times, in the religion General Eisenhower was reaffirming, the religion which is indispensable to freedom and without which democracy can have no inner nurture. And finally, and I'm going to change Davies' words slightly here to more inclusive language, he wrote, "We must understand much better what democracy is spiritually. Without its spiritual content, democracy as a system will be emptied of what gives it substance and will collapse. What then, in spiritual terms, is the definition of democracy. He wrote, most simply stated, democracy is the social and political expression of the religious principle that we are all equal brothers and sisters, and humankind a family. Democracy is brotherhood and sisterhood, unrestricted by nation, race, or creed. Thus ends the reading. From the New York Times, 2 weeks ago, June 25th, 2025. In a soaring speech on a Queens rooftop in the early minutes of Wednesday morning, Zoran Mamdani, now I'm going to talk a lot about him, so I want you to know his name, Zoran Mamdani. Will you say it with me? Zoran Mamdani, all right. On Wednesday morning, June 25th, the winner of the Democratic primary for the mayor of New York City promised to lift up New York City's working class and serve as a model for the future of his party. A life of dignity should not be reserved for a fortunate few, Mr. Mamdani said. It should be one that city government guarantees for each and every New Yorker. He promised to use his power to, this is still the New York Times article, he promised to use his power to, quote, stop masked ICE agents from deporting our neighbors, vowed to make buses fast and free, and pledged to freeze the rent on regulated units. The crowd of hundreds of his supporters, many of them young, clutched cocktails and beers in cups that dripped with condensation as they roared their approval in the midnight heat. Mr. Mamdani's apparent victory late Tuesday night represented a sharp rebuke of the Democratic Party establishment and business interests, which largely lined up behind Andrew Cuomo, the former governor who resigned in scandal 4 years ago. Continuing, by his account, Mr. Mamdani's apparent triumph was no mere rebuke of a Cuomo campaign that many had described as joyless and lackluster. It represented, he said, the ascendance of a new Democratic coalition, one that prioritized the needs of the working class over those of the elite. We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford, he said, a city where they can do more than just struggle, one where those who toil in the night can enjoy the fruits of their labor during the day. There are many of New Yorkers, he said, who have strong feelings about what happens overseas. I am one of them, he said to cheers from the crowd. While I will not abandon my beliefs or my commitments, grounded in a demand for equality, for humanity, for all those who walk the earth, you have my word to reach further, to understand the perspectives of those with whom I disagree, and to wrestle deeply with those disagreements. When I read Mr. Mamdani's words, it warmed the fragile fire of hope that I have been determined to keep burning inside me despite everything that has been happening in our nation in the past several months. I had been aware of the New York City Democratic mayoral primary. I'm aware that New York City has more population. If it were a state, it would be ranked 7th in total population. There are that many people in that city. I was aware that Mr. Mamdani, 33 years old, I have children, and some of you all have grandchildren that age. A New York State representative, a Muslim, born of Indian parents in Uganda, raised in the United States, is an outspoken socialist with an unapologetic vision of a city and nation of people who care for one another. A life of dignity, he said that night, should not be reserved for a fortunate few. It should be one that city government guarantees for each and every New Yorker. Now, end of that piece. But thinking on it, they come from different eras with very different ways of seeing the world. But it seems to me that General Eisenhower and Zoran Mamdani have something in common. They both are saying everyone needs to be part of the conversation about what makes America America. Every one of us should have a voice. Every one of us matters. Imagine the two of them, Eisenhower and Mamdani, in a room or a rooftop talking to one another. The former dean of students at my alma mater, the University of Chicago Divinity School, would be a third person that I would like to see in that conversation. If I could be a fly on the wall of that Queens rooftop or a Washington State room. Professor Joshua Feigelson recently wrote a column to Divinity School alumni suggesting that to celebrate this past Independence Day, we each get together with a bunch of other people and read the Declaration of Independence out loud. Now, I seriously considered momentarily doing that this morning, but instead, I'll pass this idea on to you with these words of Feigelson's. The Declaration of Independence matters because it helps us see that we cannot have freedom without equality. It is out of an egalitarian commitment that a people grows, a people that is capable of protecting us all collectively, and each of us individually from domination. We cannot have freedom without equality. We cannot have freedom without equality. Sounds like A. Powell Davies and his take on Eisenhower. Democracy is the social and political expression of the religious principle that we are all equal brothers and sisters. I offer you these reflections today because Mr. Mamdani and young women and men around our nation, and so many of you, are standing up to fight for the best of what we can be. The hatred, the vitriol, the racism, the violence, and the blatant lies coming from the White House and much of Washington, D.C. recently have rendered me almost catatonic in horror and disbelief. But brave men and women and certain congresswomen and men and leaders across our nation are confronting the evil and reminding us day after day that that is not who we are. And we will concede no ground to these forces. In a chapter on patriotism in his book, Credo, William Sloane Coffin once said, "How do you love America? Don't say my country right or wrong. That's like saying my grandmother, drunk or sober. It doesn't get you anywhere. Don't just salute the flag and don't burn it either. Wash it. Make it clean. What will it mean to you to get down with the dirty laundry that is our current political crisis and help to wash it? What do you need to do? For guidance, Coffin also has these words. There are 3 kinds of patriots, 2 bad and 1 good. The bad ones are the uncritical lovers and the loveless critics. The good patriots carry on a lover's quarrel with their country, a reflection of God's quarrel with the world. This is you and me and so many patriots, living and dead. We carry on a lover's quarrel with our country, believing with Mr. Mauldin that having the honest conversation will push us to get better. This is an ethical demand of our Unitarian Universalist faith. After all, throughout much of our nation's history, Unitarians and Universalists have been part of the American experiment. And more important, precisely because of our theology, we have always regarded involvement in the body politic as a sacred duty. Think back. One of the roots of our heritage is the Harvard-educated Unitarians of New England, who asserted against the Trinitarians all around them that there was only one God. Those Unitarians valued human reason and preached the possibility of people working together to overcome injustice. One God, one people, equal in the task, except that equality was not inclusive in the beginning, but has become more and more so as we have struggled together to deepen our understanding of what equality means. Another strong root in the wisdom we have from the more working class Universalists, many of them country people, not so well educated. They experienced and preached a God as all embracing love so powerful and so true for each and every one of us on the face of this planet. For Universalists, no one can be left behind. For the Universalists, salvation for one is salvation for all. Justice for one is justice for all. We Unitarian Universalists have been grounded in this faith from our beginnings on this continent. This is American democratic faith. This is the core of Eisenhower's and Mauldin's and the founding fathers and mothers' motivation. This is what has helped us hold on through wars and depressions and assassinations. But the very foundations are trembling, my friends. I am a student of history, as are many of you, and we have read of terrible times in our nation's history, corruptions and inept and racist governments, and court decisions that have set us back 50 or 100 years. But all of my understanding of history brings me pause when I look at the situation today. We have a dastardly confluence right now of two huge realities that are magnifying each other into a cultural expression in our nation that is horrific and terrifying. On the one hand, we have a president who recent events have revealed without any doubt has no moral compass, no ability to discern what equality, justice, and history mean. The man doesn't even know about Liberia. Ugh. A man who has no understanding of moral relativism, that angry Nazis and angry people who stand up to them do not stand on the same moral plane. But now we know, it has become crystal clear, the emperor wears metaphoric white sheets. Under the bespoke suits and ties, there is no core that gets the values upon which this nation was founded and upon which we must ground ourselves. This is not the time nor the day to look around us to wonder who voted what when. This is the time to wonder, how are we as a people of faith going to go forward together in this dangerous land, in these interesting times? Because the other raging river in this confluence is the hatred, the unblemished, organized hatred that is arising from where it had been hiding, simmering, waiting for the blessings of a leader so that it can appear unashamed. Hatred against women, against immigrants, Black people, trans and gay people, Muslims, Jews, any people of color. The very core of our democracy, the spiritual core, seems to be rotting. Is it still there? Can we find a living root and nurture it so that the green tree of democracy that feeds our bodies and souls can be revived? Not so long ago, in the scary, oppressive state of East Germany, dissident Rudolf Bayro said these words: "When the forms of an old culture are dying, the new culture is created by a few people who are not afraid to be insecure." Insecure. That word surprises me. Not afraid to be insecure. This makes me think of you all and of Unitarian Universalists across our nation, members of our Phoenix congregation putting water in the desert for thirsty, dying people, members of our Unitarian Universalist congregations marching in Charlottesville and New Orleans and Washington, D.C., converging on the legislature in Baton Rouge, writing letters, making phone calls, being court witnesses, whatever it takes. This is who we are, and we are not afraid to be insecure. I went yesterday to a meeting with Union Migrante, a volunteer organization of people working for immigration justice. The meeting was at the First Unitarian Church meeting place downtown. And I learned of ways that I can channel my rage and my insecurity in ways that can support and defend the attacks on our immigrant brothers and sisters. And I would be glad to share some of those with you all later after the service. And I know some of you are already doing that work, but we do not have to just watch in horror. There are ways that we can help. By the way, the New Orleans Police Department is not yet cooperating with ICE, but the Kenner Police Department is very actively cooperating with ICE, and Kenner Police are doing traffic stops for ICE and are arresting and taking away people at traffic stops for ICE and turning them over to ICE. If you live in Kenner, you have a voice, please use it. I know that when people together have a vision of democracy and are willing to be insecure, amazing change can happen. Whoever thought that the Berlin Wall would come crashing down? Whoever thought that Nelson Mandela would get out of prison after 28 years and lead his nation? But it happened. I grew up in the very segregated city of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I had no classmate of color throughout my 12 years in public school. I never met a Black doctor or businessman or woman until I left Tulsa, which now has a Black mayor. Who would have guessed that I would see an African-American president in my lifetime? An African-American president with a cabinet full of women and people of color. Is it possible that part of what is happening is a last gasp by the forces of fear in our nation? The forces that locked up and tortured women suffragists of the 1910s and the freedom riders of the 1960s, and now immigrant men, women, and children in cages today. The forces of fear that are rooted in a theology of separation and division, the very opposite of a theology of democracy. How will you be a patriot in this time when your nation needs you probably more now than ever? How much money can you give until it hurts? How much time can you spend away from your beloved books and hobbies on the phone or in meetings? How uncomfortable, how insecure are you willing to be in this time of national crisis? And even more, what about us? What about this church community right now? The Reverend Marilyn Sewell says, the mission of the church is not about meeting our needs. The mission of the church is about healing our world. It is about giving ourselves to something larger than ourselves. Ironically, when we give ourselves this way, we find that our own deepest needs will indeed be met. We are not alone in this task. Thousands, millions of Americans are stepping up right now, as have Dwight D. Eisenhower and Zohran Mamdani and so many others. After all, democracy is the social and political expression of the religious principle that we are all equal brothers and sisters and humankind a family. Democracy is brother and sisterhood, unrestricted by nation, race, or creed. It is a sacred duty to speak and act, to love our country as true patriots with our eyes wide open. Reverend Peter Gomez, past chaplain at Harvard University, said, "I love my country too much to see it complicit in its own worst stereotype, bullying, alienating allies, dismissing the UN, making up rules as it goes. I love my country too much." I love my country. I am a patriot. I refuse to surrender to despair. I still believe in the American dream of liberty and freedom for all. This is my religious faith. Someday, may it be, my friends. Someday, soon, together. Amen. Amen.
As we all know, Community Church is a self-sustaining congregation. Sadly, maybe not. We have no great gifts of money that come from on high, neither do we have instructions about how we should be in this world. And so we support our church, this building, these people, and the work that we do outside these walls with the gifts that we bring to our congregation each Sunday morning. Or you can do it online. There's a way to go to Facebook and make a donation to our website. Let's see, you can give online by text or in the person this morning, of course. And there's information on the back of your order of service. Also today, there is a special offering being made, and Kathy is going to come speak to that.
Today's second Sunday collection will be for the legal help for Donna Kashanian and the family. It's a great joy that she has been released and is home, but the legal bills don't stop. And so we are going to do our part to help them out. And if, for those of you who don't know, she is the local Iranian woman who was picked up by ICE and incarcerated for 2 weeks and has just been released.
So I'm sure you'll want to support that. And there are white envelopes under the chairs in the sanctuary there. If you want to designate whether the money the special offering, or if it's going to your pledge, you can do that on the white envelope. If you write a check, of course, you can specify which way you want it to go. And online, of course. We call it the Sunday offering or the special offering. We will sing during the offertory as they pass the basket. You guys we are going to sing "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," number 170.
The words for closing are by Juven Jacob, a young Washington, D.C. activist. He writes, I've heard from a good number of folks lately who feel disillusioned. They wonder if this country is too broken to fix. I understand that feeling, but history reminds us we've been here before. We've faced division, injustice, and loss. And each time, generations rose up, not because they were certain of victory, but because they refused to surrender the idea of America. I won't sugarcoat it. The road ahead will be hard, but I believe that if we fight for it, we can still bend this nation toward justice, dignity, and progress. Giving up isn't an option. Not now, not ever. Go in peace, my dear friends. Go making peace and justice, and then we'll extinguish the chalice. Justice and peace together. Go, my friends, this day and in all the days to come. Together, let us say the words to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the chalice here, that it may glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. And the closing hymn, This Land is Your Land, the words on the insert. Please stand and body your spirit as you are able.
This land Verse 3. There's big I know they tried to stop me. Once I was painted, said private property. But on the backside, it didn't say nothing. The sign was angry with me. This man was older, the man was violent. From California to New York Island. The red forest, the roses. The sign was angry with me. And some kept shining, and I was showing. And the weekends waiting, and I was not growing. And what was empty, and what was empty. This land was angry with me. This land is golden, this land is golden. California, New York Island, red forest, coming golden. This land was angry with me.
Woo! Thank you, Nicholas.
I thought you were ahead. Please be sure to go to the fellowship hall. We have refreshments. Love to meet you. We have so many lovely visitors today. Made you count. 43. We had 48.